On this fourth episode of Grant Random Reports the News, you'll hear about AI girlfriends, a perverted owl, and a golden shower gone horribly wrong. All of that and more on the newscast that should not be called a newscast. And this is where I stall until the theme music kicks in. Okay. Reporting from our global headquarters in subterranean Brooklyn, I'm Grant Random, and this is the news. A man was arrested after causing a drunken disturbance at the Rick's Reef restaurant in St. Petersburg, Florida. 23-year-old Anthony Michael Lessa began throwing gator nuggets into the restaurant before approaching and subsequently sexually molesting a manatee mannequin located in front of the establishment. The manatee, who ideally is named Murray, greets customers entering the restaurant and wears a t-shirt that says, "Did somebody say tacos?" It's believed that Lessa's actions were because of his intoxication and not the result of a sexual attraction to mannequins, statues, and dolls that some of us experience. Murray, the manatee mannequin, is now reportedly wearing a t-shirt that says, "Come at me, bro." He remains a huge fan of tacos and is now a bit skittish when people go near his bathing suit area. By the way, this attraction to statues and mannequins is known as agalmatophilia, and sources close to this podcast say it's an incredibly rewarding lifestyle. Elsewhere in Florida, a man is seeking $100,000 in damages after he says he was injured by an exploding toilet in a bathroom at a Dunkin' coffee restaurant in Winter Park. The explosion left the man covered in urine, feces, and debris and gives new meaning to the phrase blowing up the shitter. A data science professor at Washington University in St. Louis is expressing concern that a generation of men will be ruined by AI girlfriends. The belief is that these virtual companions will make men lonelier and potentially harm the relationships they have with actual humans. The professor joins others in the belief that AI-powered robots will satisfy humans emotionally and sexually in 10 years. For men, these droids will be just like their human partners in that they'll be loving, thoughtful, and completely disappointed by their performance in the bedroom. A classified briefing about UFOs is happening on Capitol Hill on Friday, January 12th. Speculation about the meeting is running rampant, especially after the testimony last year by a whistleblower that the government is in possession of alien bodies and vehicles. The question, of course, is if we are in fact being visited, why are the extraterrestrials here? Is it for research purposes? Is it to protect us from ourselves? Or perhaps something nefarious? Or are these wacky ETs actually here to party and in some cases to bang? And if they are here for intercourse, what are their genitals like? And do they possess a
fleshy meat bridge?
Turning to nature and wildlife news, New York City is home to a famous owl named Flaco, who notably escaped from the Central Park Zoo with the assistance of some human accomplices. Flaco is now making news for being a peeping Tom, as residents around the city report seeing the owl perched outside their windows and staring inside at them in a variety of situations. We caught up with Flaco and asked the bird his motivation for looking in on folks. The owl replied, quote, "For those who don't speak owl," Flaco replied, "with great power comes the ability to abuse it. You would too if you could, and you know it. Now please excuse me while I go watch a lady on 67th Street get creative with a shower wand." "Very well, until we meet again, Flaco." "Fuck me? No, fuck you." These owls can be dicks. A new study suggests that flowers are evolving to have less sex, just like your spouse. A report on wildlife smuggling lists the sea cucumber as being popular on the black market for a variety of purposes, including use as an aphrodisiac. The sea cucumber is notable as it breathes through its anus. Sadly, this means that this poor creature also shits through its nose. Turning to entertainment, Elvis is returning as a hologram powered by AI in a new show that's coming to London. Elvis Evolutions will feature various versions of the King of Rock and Roll, including early Elvis, movie Elvis, comeback Elvis, bloated Vegas Elvis, and finally, toilet Elvis. Rage Against the Machine will not be playing any shows moving forward, according to the band's drummer, Brad Wilk. So Rage is breaking up for the third time and doing so without the courtesy of a final tour. Nor are they drafting a legally binding agreement stating that they won't play shows again after said final tour. Then, ripping up that agreement, firing their guitarist, and continuing to tour endlessly way past their prime with an out-of-shape singer who can't hit the high notes anymore. Or what is called pulling a motley crew. By the way, this podcast is Team McMars. The former Crew guitarist is now feuding with his former bandmates and has said, quote, "I carried those bastards for years." Way to go, Mick, you crazy prick. When we return, you'll hear about a golden shower turned violent. This podcast is being brought to you by Pitt. Still no sponsors yet, as I'm still figuring out how to make this podcast. In the meantime, please enjoy this intermission. I'm interrupting this wonderful intermission to apologize for the erratic release schedule for this podcast. I'm still figuring stuff out, and hopefully I'll get this podcast out around the same time each Friday going forward. I do thank you for your patience as I'm getting my shit together. Thank you also for the nice comments that have been coming in, like from Amy Rusia, who mentioned this podcast in her Instagram story, saying, quote, "It'll be the most fun 10-ish minutes of your whole week." An individual on the Apple Podcast app says, quote, "Grant Random has a remarkable gift for cooking up the news stories in savory ways and serving it up buffet style. The taste pleasantly lingers all day." Thank you, person on Apple. And a guy on the cesspool that is Facebook says that this podcast is, quote, "slightly comedic." And I slightly appreciate that. Also, I'm grateful for those who've been spreading the word. And I should point out that you can simply point people to grantrandom.com, which has links to all the places that you can find the podcast. It's better than what the site was before, which was a total shit show. Absolute garbage. It actually links to my link tree, which I set up thanks to the recommendation of listener Steven Stahl. So thanks, dude. Okay, back to the intermission. And that is the conclusion of this intermission. Thank you. To get access to this special offer, please use the code AGALMATAPHILIA. A man was arrested after shooting at a prostitute he paid to urinate on him at a Days Inn in York, Pennsylvania. 66-year-old David Martin Butts gave the woman $300 to piss on him in the bathtub, and apparently the golden shower went as planned. Butts believed that the woman had stolen his wallet after she finished the act while he lay in the tub in post-piss bliss. The escort was in her car eating potato chips when Butts confronted her about the stolen wallet, allegedly firing a single bullet from his handgun, leaving a hole in the side of the woman's car. The escort fled the scene, and both she and Butts were later arrested and are now facing charges. That said, several important questions remain. Did Butts enjoy the golden shower? Was it truly golden, or was the prostitute properly hydrated? Did Butts rinse off before getting dressed and confronting the escort, or did he put his clothes on while still damp with the golden goodness? What kind of potato chips was the prostitute eating, and did she wash her hands before eating them? Especially considering she had just urinated on a man, for shit's sake. Is York, Pennsylvania a hotspot for water sports activity? And is the Days Inn in York the Pennsylvania ground zero for golden showers? Also, is there a market for middle-aged podcasters who will likely be replaced at their day job by AI to get paid to piss on people? And if so, is there a website to connect with the potential pissies, like, say, pissfriends.net? And would there be interest on pissfriends.net for the aforementioned middle-aged podcaster to secure work as a character named the Piss Lord of Brooklyn, who would give golden showers while wearing nothing but a golden ascot and cape? And would there be interest in the Piss Lord of Brooklyn performing water sports at piss-themed birthday parties, weddings, and funerals? I think that these are the questions that people want answers to, and I'll work tirelessly to get those answers, unless, I'm tied up doing work as the Piss Lord. Thank you for listening to this episode. Thanks also for connecting with me at Grant Random on social media and at grantrandom.com, which is different now. Before it sucked. Now it sucks less. And you can connect to me in a bunch of different ways there. So go there. Great. And thank you for listening to the newscast of choice of Piss Lords across the globe.